You met these people. I mean, because of your job, you had to be. How did that feel to have to work around them?
Well, at the time, I didn't think about it. One of my mates, I called him Nobby Nobbler in my first book because he was an ex-squaddy, very private person, but he quite definitely, he was a very good friend. We didn't socialise on the out, but, I trust him, he trusted me, we had a laugh, made light of things. He'd refuse on overtime to work on a wing like that. He'd have nothing to do with it at all. And now I understand that. At the time, I'd just go and do a shift, not think about it. Now, my tolerance, now I have no tolerance for people who harm children, none whatsoever. It's just sickening.
But I suppose wouldn't you feel like, yeah, but someone's got to do it, and I don't want my mates to have to do it more, so I'll go and do that shift from time to time.
Well, here's the thing. Some people liked working in that environment, not because they were sick or depraved, but quite often there'd be no trouble on there. You got people together, they're kept away from the rest of the prison, they're with like-minded people. So, it might well be a very quiet place to work, an easy place to work. People weren't kicking off, they weren't disruptive or anything like that. They'd just go along with the regime.
But you have to work with these very creepy people. That's the trade-off.
Yeah, some people who worked on there had very little contact, wouldn't talk. Some, they'd just get on with it or whatever.
Yeah,
difficult.
I think I'd be better suited to that because I wouldn't last a minute. Do you know what I mean? What am I going to do in the other part where if there's fights and things?
Well, you don't know, Andrew, right? I met some people. I worked with some people who should not have been prison officers, and they sound very conflicting this, but they were good staff. They were, maybe never had a fight in their life, maybe got no bottle. When it push comes to shove, lying in the sand, adrenaline's pumping, fight or flight or freeze, they might well be ready for off or freeze. However, they might de-escalate something. So I'm toe-to-toe with you. Yeah, I'm toe-to-toe. I've tried everything. You're not for coming down. So, maybe they might be on my shoulder here. Why are you being like that, Mr. Samworth? Miss Samworth's all right, sort of this, sort of that sort of thing. However, again, they wouldn't lead you into battle if there was going to be an incident, but they would follow you. There were people, lads and lasses, not a presence like mine. I was probably 6 foot, obviously the bald head, classic prison officer, 18 stone, 19 stone. They were lightweight, what I'd call jockey weight. But they didn't have a presence that they would get stuck in, and they get hurt as well. Because the difference is pretty much everyone who's been in prison, all the lads in prison, they come from tough backgrounds, tough upbringing. They've had fights, they've been in conflicts, so they're used to that. The more fights you have, the better you are. It's like rugby. When I played rugby, adrenaline used to make me sick. However, it also gives you an edge. So the lads that we used to conflict, a lot of staff never had a fight in their life. They've never been in conflict in their life. So, yeah.
What about prisoners? Because I read this book. It was Chris Atkins. It's called A Bit of a Stretch.
Yeah.
And
I know the guy.
Oh, right. So he's sort of, I suppose he's as close as it gets to kind of me. I'm trying to imagine
myself.
myself.
Yeah, a journo inside.
Yeah,
you're going to see it different.
Yeah, and he was middle class as well, and he was never getting in fights and stuff. But he sort of seemed to handle himself quite well because he made himself useful, I think, to everybody.
Yeah, definitely. That is a thing, and it's also how you present yourself. The best advice for anyone going into prison, that's either side of the door, is be humble and try and be yourself. Try not to be something you're not, because you'll get found out. So there is people, lads I saw in prison, nothing about them, maybe white collar workers, they would get on and they'd have friends and they'd be comfortable and they wouldn't be under threat because, like you said, they might have a talent. Maybe they could write. They were very good at English. A lot of lads in prison, poorly educated, can't write. So there were lads you'd go to and say, will you help this lad write a letter to his missus? That's a massive thing, that. Firstly, there's a trust, tell the missus I love her, all that sort of thing. But yeah, it's a lot of it depends how you are. There's some people who are obnoxious. Some are anti-establishment, don't like staff. Don't necessarily mean they're going to be assaulting you. They'll just keep out of your way. Vast majority of people, and again, this is an important thing to know, in normal prison type environments, just get on with the jail. Get the sentence, get their head down. Gangsters, crime family type people and that come into prison, get a job as a cleaner. So they're cleaning on the wing, get their heads down, they get some gym, extra gym, and away you go.
Yeah, just get through it.
Vast majority are like that. There's just a percentage that very, very dangerous, and staff are always going to be a risk.
91% watching Heretics clips are not subscribed. Quick favour, hit subscribe. Free, takes 2 seconds, and helps us question everything together.